All right, round two today of videos to try to get you guys a little more familiar with mixing software, leaning a little heavier into the virtual DJing side of things for one reason, because a majority of this type of stuff is either free or way cheaper than jumping headfirst in the production stuff. Ask Not, ask Neo, ask Skee-Ball. If you start stacking a bunch of extras, probably Storks too, the second you start like filling your library, you notice your wallet is emptying at a very, very ridiculously fast pace. So I'm going to try to give you guys a couple of things that you can do, especially for our folks that are having a hard time going from the gamified version of how they did things in Fuser to get closer to that in something that's a live orifice like VDJ, for instance. So in this, I do want to point out exactly how to get to this spot too, because it's important that you know this is available. In your VDJ, when you get it, I was showing like the essential stuff that you can use, the pro that you can adjust. So you've got the different stuff that's here as well, but then also for performance. So when I'm doing any creation stuff and trying to mix freehand, like the performance section. The reason why is because of these stems right here. Stem 2.0, and there are a bunch of different options that you can use for this, from beat jump to saved loops to manual loops to remix points, a lot of the scratchbacks, the whole nine, right? But stems is where you can start, just something super easy on this side. If you're trying to do something that's completely like mashup territory kind of stuff, right? So let's start right here on the beat. Gonna let it run for a second and get that thing moving. It literally just dropped my fucking head. Else that side. Not gonna give me anything. Here we go. Oh, it auto snaps it off. Okay, so this is exactly what I'm talking about. So let's light these up. The vocal, the kick, the instrument, the hi-hat, the bass, and leave everything else alone. Back this up. When you switch from your bass, like your starter, into performance, it's going to turn all this stuff off on your left-hand side. Did you notice that all of these were not selected, but these are now as well? So it may turn those off. Make sure you've got these lit up. But let's hit play and watch what happens when I play with these buttons specifically. Let's take the bass out. Or at least most of it. Bring the bass back in. Let's remove the hat. Let's take out the kick. Let's bring the kick and the hi-hat back. Take out the vocal. And the instrument. Take the bass out. Put them all back in. This is the best way to set yourself up to do a mashup or something else of that nature, right? Because each of these buttons that we have right here, your vocals, instrumental, your bass, hi-hats, and kicks, right? You can get rid of all of these while you're doing this. So if you want to, or you want to, like, let's say, for instance, steal just the bass, the kick, and the hi-hat from this Mala track, you can start right up here up front. Pick another track that's, let's see, we're at 125. Let's grab something else that is close to that 125 range. Here's the Scientist with Joy Corp. Wait, hold on. Not familiar with that one. Let's go with EDM O'Clock and TV. You know that's going to be some sort of... How about we do Tokyo Machine? Let's take away the things on that side that we have from the Mala track. So we've got vocal and instrumental off. Let's run them this way. Let's give ourselves a little room to start that off. Let's sync this side so they're both specifically at 125. Get this one moving. Set this dead center. So now we can hear both sides. We're going to hit play, and we're going to lock this in right as the beat hits. If we missed, just hit the sync button again. Now I'm going to bring in different sounds so you can hear it get more cluttered. You can shear those different pieces out in each side. It's not going to be perfect. Just like an AI cut for something, it's not going to be 100% perfect. However, like keep in mind, a lot of different things are going to adjust that. Like here, you have an automatic key match option for this track as well, syncing into both sides to make sure that it's kind of close or that it gets kind of close. You try to do all of that. Adjust the keys on this side to get it closer to that D. Point being is you have options to take certain things out. You have options to add certain things in, but VDJ will let you do that so you can put together a really nice mashup, hit the save section, and then roll off from it too to use that as a originally touched track. But all the stuff is here. A majority of the stuff that's in VDJ is going to let you actually make those adjustments to each one of these tracks, whether it's about just hitting the sync button, adjusting directly to where that beats per minute needs to go with the sliders that are necessary, and even watching your gains in the middle so you know where these need to be offset to make sure that you have a smooth, melded mix. But this is a pretty powerful tool if you've got, let's say, for instance, you are mixing with house or you're mixing with deep house. You've got two things at 124. They are very close to the exact same key. You can do that by going back through your Camelot wheel and making sure it's to the left or the right, just to double check, because you don't want to stretch something. We all know this from Fuser. You don't want to stretch something too far out of its native or it's going to sound like straight fucking cheeks. But you have the options to do things like up here. Adjust. It tells you exactly what the exact match is on the other side. You can also switch that to 12B. The clicks are going to change it from your E to your 12B. So this will make it easier for you to line things up on your Camelot wheel as well. This is going to make sure that your vocals are live on each side. You can turn these off to take the bass away. You have FX stems, straight up acapella, which doesn't work great, but like it does work if there's a really prominent vocal on there too, if you just want the vocal over the rest of a different track. But overall, it's going to come down to your earballs. Is there too much static? Is there too much going on? Is it easy to digest? Does the shit wreck? Like those are things that you still have to make the decision on if you're going to play with this kind of stuff. You also have the option in here to like utilize your flanger, turn it on. Strength of those flangers, your reverb, same thing, strength, the size of the reverb, the wah-wahs. You have a bunch of different options on this to add to it, as well as video effects if you want to go that direction and take it like a bend route for something. So you have a bunch of different ways to adjust these tracks, to do this stuff live while you're mixing, or to just do it a start, set, play. Use your pads here to set up different cue points, reverse, master tempo, start, stop stuff like sampler banks. You have the option to add all of this stuff. You just have to take the time to sit with it and adjust everything and set up your center section for this. You've got those adjustments here. You've got extra adjustments for each of these pads to give yourself extra options on this side. You've got your master volume on this side. Your master is the overall. Then you've got your highs, mid, low. Instead of it being up here, it's down here now, so you can really adjust and be finite with how you want the mix to sound. And then if you look down here for the key, it's going to tell you each one of these tracks, it's read it to the best of its ability, exactly where that needs to be. Adjusting up on this side is also going to adjust it down here. So this is a great way to get yourself organized after you've gotten a bunch of different music to find out what the BPM is. It's going to take some listening to find out intensity. Intensity is something that they tried to make a couple of add-ons years ago to give you kind of like a heads up on exactly how intense this is going to be with like extra hertz frequencies, how big everything's going to sound. But overall, that's going to come down to how you hear it. But having the ability to cut certain things out of tracks, utilize those kicks, utilize the sub, utilize the highs, take the acapella approach from it just to blend it in with something else. After you get the music, get it into VDJ, let it read and tell you exactly what it is that you're dealing with, what key it's in, and that informs you on what the next track could be. You can always hit the sync button. Don't let the guys that are all 100% vinyl tell you that the sync button is Satan and you shouldn't. In a virtual program like this, you want to use the sync button. It's going to line things up directly with how you have the other set up. So it's always going to pay attention to the other side. And again, if you start hitting and you missed, hit sync again. Now, it's not always going to be 100% right. Obviously, you need to listen to it, use your ears, and make educated decisions. This is not a I hit one button, everything works. You got to put the work in. You should have a little bit of understanding of your songs, or at least understandings of the styles of that person, so you're not making terrible decisions while you're mixing live. But again, if you don't have VDJ and you still want to play with music, these are some ways that you guys can do that to jump in, select different things that you want to use, and just play around with it. At the end of the day, if you're producing, who is playing your production music, right? If you are also the one who's DJing your production music, then I don't tear you apart when I see videos that you're doing stuff live, like I did to Zomboid, who I like. But getting familiar with this, if you understand how to use a surface, a platform, just like VDJ, if you're sitting in front of a Numark or you're sitting in front of another mixer, you have the basics down because you fucked with it already. That's the important thing. You can obviously, for those of you guys that do VR, you can jump into VR and play with the actual decks, but affording a CDJ 3000 with the Nexi 3, any of the stuff that you see those guys playing with live are multiple $1,000s for each piece that you're looking at up there. Nexus to each of the CDJs. This gives you the option to learn on ones and twos. Don't make it more complicated than that right off the get-go. And when you want to start adding extras for your deck layouts, you have the option to go to a full 4 deck on here too. And then you can see deck C, deck D, right? You can adjust these. And it's just a click, you're on deck A, click, you're on deck C, click, you're on deck B, click, you're on deck D. And then it's as easy as just dragging in. And now all of a sudden, ta-da, you're a professional fucking DJ on stage with the same amount of options that everybody in the industry is going to use as well. So yeah, that's how you get it done. That's how you set it up. And this is just stuff that you have to play with and get familiar with. Don't be afraid of it. The shit's free. If there's something else that's locked behind the fact that I have the purchased version, please let me know in Discord so I can adjust some of what I'm saying, or everybody else will see us talking about it anyway. You'll notice that you have your beat tracker up here as well, so you know exactly what's coming up. But this is just the best way to get those mixes together. Start mixing with great tools so you can actually do some of the stuff that we did in Fuser with cutting, alienating, and changing some of those sounds to put together a great mashup. I hope this is helping some of you guys. We have a lot more of this type of content coming out really soon. I'm trying to get into every Sunday. I'm going to take time after the stream to get these things together, get them unlisted and get them posted to try to help you guys out. If you have complications, as always, give us the messages so other people, not just myself, but other folks can help you out as well if they have the answers for it. But I highly recommend, if you're looking to not jump into the big, bad, scary world of production, this is the route to go, guys. This is the way a lot of people learn that came from my cut after they came off of, you have to learn with vinyl and a disc and a blow, you have to learn with needles and fuck, you broke my shit. This is the way to do that now. Get in, play with this stuff, get used to BPMs, learn to tap your foot, pay attention to what your keys are, just like you would with Fuser. Pay attention to your actual BPMs, and all the information that you're looking for is here. It's just more controllable. That's going to do it for this video. Again, if you guys have questions, be sure to put that in the Patreon chat, and we'll see you guys in the next one. Stay in the mix.